Awesome. I hope everybody's having a great day, off to a great start of wave season, and things are going well for everyone. Um, excuse me. Today I wanted to try something a little bit different. So, I obviously you're all on my mailing list. You know what I do. I'm Dan Chappelle, the Wealthy Travel Agent. I help travel professionals become better business people, become better salespeople, and really to help grow the business there. Um, Hello, everyone. And so that's kind of who I am, what I do. And I participate, just like I do coaching for travel professionals. I participate in a coaching program myself. And one of the things that they do that I find quite intriguing, and it's quite successful, is it's an open hot seat program. And this is one where those who are participating in the program can get on like this. So just so you know, this is not a webinar. And I can see some of you eating. I can see what you're doing if you've got your cameras on. So just know that this is not a webinar. This is something that you're going to be able to unmute yourself and ask questions and things like that. So it's going to be kind of an open forum for the most part. And I found that format seems to work really, really well in the coaching program I'm in. And I've gotten a great benefit out of it. And I think that, rather than me just sit here talking at you and talking to you, this will give you the opportunity to ask things that are important to you. And frankly, if I know the answers, I'm happy to help out. If I don't, I will probably refer you to someone or someplace that could do a better job of answering that for you. So if that all sounds fair, that's a great way that we'll get going here. So here's kind of how this works. If you want to participate, if you've got something you want to ask or need some advice on, or just need some help with, just type it into the chat box. Just type the word hot seat, and then I will go down through the chat. I will say, okay, Mimi, you're up. And at that point, I'm going to want whoever is up to unmute yourself and then ask the question that you have. For those of you who are on the line, please keep yourself muted, because sometimes you can get the feedback. You might, from my end, you might hear, I've got dogs, so if the UPS guy pulls up, you might hear the dogs bark or something. But we want to keep the background to a minimum as best that we can, so that we can go forward and make this work here. So when I do recognize you, just simply state your name, who you are, what host agency or consortia you're with, if you would like, how long you've been in the business. Just gives me kind of a perspective of where you're coming from on your question, and then how can I help you? So let's get started here. So let's, if you've got something that you need some help with, you got a question, just type into the chat box, and we'll be here as long as we need to be. So if this lasts 15 minutes, we'll be here 15 minutes. If nobody's got any questions, if it lasts longer, then we'll be here as long as we need to stay. So it's kind of an open forum for you to ask whatever you want to of me. So I'll give you a moment to type in hot seat, whoever is interested in joining the hot seat.
Hi, Dan. This is Don Hathaway.
Hey, Don.
I'm a Dream Vacations agency owner.
Okay.
And been 5 years in the industry, and have decided over this last year to make some big changes into strictly luxury expeditionary travel, small groups, doing a lot of group travel, prospectively, trying to do with wine clubs and golf clubs and anybody else I can get to listen to us.
Right.
But I live in California, up in the Santa Barbara area. So we have affluent neighborhoods, but they're very hard to break into. And it's very hard to get into these organizations, from my perspective, from what I see. And so my biggest thing is what things can I do? And I can tell you what I've already done, but what would be your ideas if I want to do group sales primarily as a big part of my business, and mostly in luxury. We do a lot of river cruising, Oceanas. We do Windstar. We do some of the sailing ships like Star Clippers,
Hmm.
um, and also resorts and land tours, but mostly the ones I mentioned.
Okay.
Um, so that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I want to go over the next year. Keep it. I don't want to grow it to be $1 million business. I want it to be fun and make enough money so I can travel. That's kind
Okay.
of where I'm at.
So how long have you lived in the area?
Well, we moved up here full time 3 years ago.
Okay. And been there part-time prior?
Yeah, so it was a vacation rental home, and we come up when we could, but we weren't active in the community.
Okay. Do you have any customers currently in the area, in the community?
We do. We've had a couple of good-sized groups that 35, 40 people in each of the groups that we did, and they're here local, Ventura, Santa Barbara area.
And how did you get them?
It was through a wine club. I was at a mixer event for a chamber, and I was handing out cards. I was handing out cards for a presentation we're going to be doing on wine cruise. And I just happened to run into a guy that owned the wine store. And he said, people have been bugging me to do this. So why don't you come and see me? And we did set up the first one 2 years ago, and had 35 people sign up on an Ama river cruise.
Okay. And have you done any for them since?
Yes, we're going again this year in May.
Okay.
And about the same amount of people, 30, 32, I think this year though.
So are the participants that went on that first one, are they primarily local as well?
Yes. A lot of the same people coming on the second one.
Okay, good. That's actually a great thing. Okay. So I think, you want to build the business in the Santa Barbara area. You're having trouble, let me make sure I'm understanding this right. You're having trouble breaking into some of the groups. My suggestion would be, you've already done some business there, is look at the people who participated in the groups, they're local, and reach out to them for referrals to the types of groups you want to put together. So if you just want to put together a hosted group on, let's say AMA for next year, not affiliated with that particular wine store group, reach out to them and ask them for referrals, who they might know that might want to go with you on your trip. And because the people, if you're telling me that the people that you're currently dealing with through the wine store are primarily local, it doesn't sound to me like you need to break into that marketplace. It sounds like you need to do a better job of prospecting it, I guess.
Expanding it.
Yeah, because you've already got contacts, you've already got customers. It's just a matter of really, everybody's connected in their own way in different areas of the community, whether it's in, participating in local groups, or maybe some of them are a lot of just part-time people. Some of them, I was on a gosh, what were we on last year? Pogogan. And I was in the pool at over the day room we had while we were waiting for our flight in the evening to fly home, and started talking to a guy there. And it turns out he owns Dry Creek Vineyards, that kind of thing. So just talking to the people that you already have, I think, will open up a world of opportunities. Now, what you don't want to do is cannibalize the other trip.
That's right.
And I think you can do that by, one, reaching out to the people who haven't signed up for the next one yet, and just say, hey, we're checking to see if you're try and build that trip up as well at the same time. But then while you're talking to them, ask them for referrals to, whether it's, do they know someone in specific areas that you want to deal with, or people that you want to work with? So kind of have a target list together of where you're trying to go with this.
Okay.
And then work within the people that you already have to get there. I think that they would be a huge help if you're asking for help.
Yes. No, that's a good point. No, and I know they have a huge base of friends themselves, and that are different from the people that are actually going on this trip. So that could just double, triple itself.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, and I say this, I've said this in my book and other areas, people that typically are high end or let's say they're expedition people, whatever, they tend to associate in the same socioeconomic groups. So their friends are going to like to do a lot of the same things that they do and be members of the same clubs and things like that. So I think it's a matter of, you getting in and doing some prospecting, picking up the phone and calling them and building the relationship out of that existing client base that you have, because you already have a lot of information. If they've been on a cruise, a lot about them already. Did you escort that trip by chance?
I did, yes.
Okay, so you've already got a relationship as well.
Oh, we
those
do,
are,
yes.
Those aren't so big that, you're just manning a desk once a day. It's
Right.
you're spending time.
This will be our second trip, and I've booked other trips for a few of them, single, FITs.
And that's an area to expand as well. I mean, obviously the focus is here at the group, but taking the trickle down of their other trips that aren't just with that group,
right,
it can turn out to be a good chunk of business for you as well.
What are your thoughts about cold calling, going out and actually talking to other vintners, other types of clubs, just walking into it if they have an office or an organizational office?
Yeah. So, I'm a sales guy, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a huge fan of cold calling per se.
Okay.
Warm calling for sure. So, you could, through whether it's the guy that owns a wine store, probably knows someone at these different wineries for you to reach out to. So while you're doing that, then you also have to say, okay, what am I going to do that's going to be different than what everybody else is doing? Because if you go to any group training, any group, anything, they tell you to focus on wine and food and wine groups. So these people are being bombarded by folks. So, one, you're getting that warm introduction from the wine store owner or from another vintner who may have been on board the ship or on the boat, the riverboat that So use those relationships to get yourself in the door.
Okay.
And then talk about, don't just say, I can do this, this, and this for you. Say, okay, I can help you with your loyalty program and keep customers coming back. What are you looking for? Because we always, as a tendency, most people tend to go in and tell them, well, this is what I can do for you, without giving much thought about, well, what do you need? What do you want out of this? And just start with that, and then say, okay, so, because the problem, maybe I've got a loyalty problem. We've had a lot of issues going on with the wildfires and stuff like that. And so, we want to bring our people back. And this is a great way to do that, is by, hosting a trip and bringing on their wines and stuff like that. It's when you start doing stuff like that with wineries, then you have to talk, because they want their own wines on board. And if they're not currently being carried, then you have another step that you have to do with the cruise line or the tour company, whatever, making sure that their wines are available as well.
Right.
So that's how I would approach it, rather than cold calling, okay, I'm trying to go to the wine store guy. Obviously you got a good relationship with him. I'm trying to build my business out. I want a couple more groups. Who do you think would be a good candidate, and who can you introduce me to at these periods? Because the wine store owners are probably dealing with the people in the sales and marketing, and that's who that's the ones you got to get in the door to.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. Let me go down the list here. Because we got some coming in. Adrian Mitra. If you could unmute yourself, and then let's hear how I can help you.
Hi, Dan.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
You're up in the corner over here on my screen.
All right, well, thank you for taking my question. I live in the Phoenix metro area, and I've had my agency this is our 15th year now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm independent, meaning that I do not have a host agency.
Okay.
I was operating with a true number. I've just converted to an IATAN accreditation.
Okay.
But my challenge right now is we have so many inquiries coming in, and I am certainly not complaining. It's wave season. Most of my colleagues here in the local area, they hang their gloves up from wave season the end of March or April. Our wave season the last 2 years has gone all the way to the end of June.
That's awesome.
Yeah, at breakneck speed. My problem now is that I am looking for help, but the issue is that I can't really afford to hire anybody because it doesn't make financial sense to keep an employee where I have to pay payroll and all that good stuff.
Okay.
But, right now I have 2 part-time admins who do things like help me, put quotes out. When the suppliers send me stuff that we can't just forward to the clients because it doesn't look the way it should when we're trying to sell a vacation.
Sure. Yep.
They take care of that stuff. But then you have things like somebody needs to make somebody calls you with a final payment and the suppliers are busy too. So you spend 2 hours on hold because you need to get to a person to make this final payment. So then that one line is tied up, and sometimes I try to jump over and do other things, but you can also end up with a problem where live person answers one call and you're stuck with somebody else. So then issue now is what ideas can I come up with to make myself more productive and also get some help?
So you have 2 part-time admins, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say part-time, how part-time? I mean,
one has a day job and came to me and said, I don't have any fund money. Can I have some work? The other one, he's more hands-on right now, but there is a challenge. He's related to my next door neighbor. He was
I hear you. So what about your other one?
The other one is the one that has the full-time day job. So
okay.
When I get stuff from Asia, he can handle it at night.
Gotcha. Okay. If you want, how much volume do you do? If you don't want to say it, just type it in the box, just so I can get an idea of roughly.
We do, volume-wise, we're at about 500,000.
500,000, and it's just you?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a great lesson, I think, for a lot of folks here, is you can't do everything yourself. And, you can hire admin. There are admins that specialize in the travel business and they're not cheap. I mean, they're probably, I want to say they're $20-25 an hour, but they're just for what you need them for. You use them and they do the specific tasks and get them done. So anything that you would have that would be like what I would call a $10 an hour job or a minimum wage job, like taking final payments, calling them into the suppliers, doing all, changing seats on an airplane or dinner or whatever have you. Those are admin jobs. Those are things that you don't need to be doing. You can find yourself a good admin, a single admin locally probably, that may only work part-time, that's not related to somebody that lives next door to you, that's maybe a retired travel agent who knows what they're doing and can do it for you, and they don't really want much out of it. How connected are you locally with the travel agent networks, travel advisor networks?
Somewhat, they're all familiar faces that I see at supplier events. I do belong to a local BNI group, and there are a lot of resources there. I've asked for help just this last week. I haven't had any feedback yet.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I think you want to find someone who's retired from the travel business, or someone that wants to get into it, that you can teach how to do it, but start with the admin stuff on a part-time basis, like, maybe a couple hours a day kind of thing. But where I'm going with this is you take away the stuff that's bogging you down. This is what I see a lot of is people get too tied up into the administrative piece of it, and where they fall behind on the sales and the follow-up part of it. So if you take that piece of it and outsource it, when I say outsource it, you could hire an admin, you could hire, there's admins or virtual assistants in the Philippines that are $5 an hour if you're comfortable with that. I mean, there's lots of ways you can do it, but you want to get those pieces off your plate so that you can concentrate on, because I'm of the belief that anyone with a little bit of help can easily do $1 million by themselves. Easily. Shouldn't be a problem. You should not be overwhelmed by that amount of business. Okay. but you have to prioritize, you have to time block, if it's just you, and you don't necessarily have one. So you need to block. I'm going to take inquiries during these hours of the day. I'm going to do my follow-up during this. I'm going to do my research here, and I'm going to do the admin there. And that's how you block out your time. You put up some boundaries, and so that you can actually have a life outside of your business. Because I'm hearing that you probably don't, or not much.
Not during Wave, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you're telling me it goes in, for 6 months. So
yeah,
that's 6 months out of your life you'll never get back. So you want to be able to enjoy yourself, enjoy why you're here in the business as well. So, gathering a part-time admin, it could be a school kid. It could be somebody from local college that wants to get in travel. Travel is becoming more appealing to younger generations now than it has been in the past, because we're past people are seeing you can actually make a really good living. You can make a lot of money selling travel. I mean, people just think, oh, it's part-time. No, you can make a ton of money doing this. You can easily make a 6-figure income part-time selling travel if you structure your day right, if you're doing things the right way and prospecting for the right customers. So another piece of that may be is, okay, what's your business model look like? Who are you serving, and what kind of products are you selling? Okay, so maybe you need to not deal with everybody and kind of drill that down a little bit so that you're focusing on more profitable business, more profitable customers that are going to tend to be more loyal that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, I appreciate the feedback.
Does it help?
Yes, it does.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because if it's not, I can, we can take it offline, and I can kind of maybe send you some links to some other stuff that if you want to investigate some offshore admin, or a couple of the ones that I know of that specialize in travel. But that may be a little more than you want to spend.
Yeah,
so.
if you have some links that are travel specific, I think those would be good.
Okay, send me an email directly, and I'll send it to you. I don't think I don't want to just put it out for everybody, because they may get overwhelmed themselves, and that's we don't want that to happen. Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm glad I could help you there. Let me see. Let me jump up here. Okay, so we had Adrienne. Melissa Fail. So if you don't mind muting yourself, perfect there. Melissa, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, Dan.
Hey there. So why don't you just tell us what?
Sure. So last year I purchased your book, read it, and got some great information out of it, and decided that I was ready to start kind of launching my business out here in my small town. Now the challenge is I have joined several clubs, and the one that I really expected to have more contacts and develop business with hasn't really been that fruitful. It's been great. I meet with them every week. We do great things for the community, but I don't see other business owners reaching out to me to, set up any trips. And I've reached out to them, and I just don't notice that that's working. So my question to you is, I live about an hour from a large town, and I've considered finding some clubs that maybe I have a passion for, or special needs, or things like that, that possibly have groups in that large town. And I might drive up there and join them and see if I can develop some new contacts. The challenge is it worth the drive and the time that I would need to commit between, I don't know how long it will take to develop them. And I'll be out of the office, and I'm a one-man show. Is it worth that time to commit in order to develop this new business?
Where are you located, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in a small town in Arkansas, in Searcy, Arkansas.
Arkansas.
So I could, yeah. So Memphis is about 2 hours from me. Then Little Rock is about an hour.
Okay.
Unknown caller. There's spam.
How long have you been doing this?
This is my 4th year.
4th year. And are you in a consortium or a host
I am.
agency?
I've been with Signature.
Signature?
Mm-hmm.
Are you an independent contractor, or are you an actual agent?
Okay.
For which agency?
RLX Travel Group is my agency, and I'm with Oasis Travel Network as
Oasis,
a
okay.
host. Yeah.
You're with Oasis, okay, great. Okay. So you got a lot of resources there. How big's your list?
I have about, I would say 400 people on my list, But I will tell you right now, I need to probably scrub a good portion of them. I don't feel like they're really, they're not developing, they're one and dones type of things.
Sure.
And then I have a good number that have traveled 2 and 3 times with me already.
Yeah. Do you have a specialty?
Adventure, and I work a lot with retired military folks.
Okay. Well, you're in a good area for it. Okay. So, and how many customers do you have annually?
I would say right now, we did a spreadsheet the other day. I'm about 70.
70?
Mm-hmm.
Have you reached out to them for referrals?
A handful of them have given me referrals. And then I've also reached out to a couple of luxury companies that said they would come into town. And I asked my referrals if they would be willing to bring some friends to those events. I got a big yes. So I'm trying to work with like Silver Sea to bring some people in here to put on an event. Because I'm thinking that might be something that would be easy for us to do and use the local contacts and their referrals.
Yeah. So the easiest way to do this, the short answer to your question is, do I think you should go to Memphis or Little Rock? No.
Okay.
No, I think you probably have more than enough business that you can handle right under your feet. It's just a matter of taking, the existing customer base that you have and blocking out time. You're always going to hear me come back to time blocking.
Right.
For prospecting. And that is, and I do this a lot with my coaching clients, the people I work with one-on-one, is we sit down and we block a certain, time during the day, every day and it may only be 15 minutes, it may be 30 minutes, maybe an hour, but you take your list and you pick up the phone and you call.
Okay. Yeah. That's what your book said.
Yeah. And you do call them. And because the beauty of this is you already have a relationship with them. And you're solving a couple of things here. One, you're solidifying the relationship that you already have. Okay. You're talking to them, you're maintaining that contact with them, that continuity to help inspire the loyalty there. 2, you're asking them for help. You're asking them, hey, the purpose of your call isn't to try to get them to buy anything right now. Right. The purpose of your call is to, who do they know who, would benefit from what you do? Who has a vacation problem? They want to plan a vacation that's outside the box, different from what they've been doing. Who can they refer you to? Okay. And ask specifically. Like for instance, if the people that you're talking to just got back from a Silver Sea cruise to Antarctica, who do you know that is going to benefit from your services of working with you as a Silver Sea specialist in Antarctica? Okay. Because they're people, that's who they've talked to. They've talked to people about Antarctica, and Antarctica is polar destinations are extremely hot right now. Yeah. It's an oxymoron, but and that's an area that you want to position yourself then as and I'm just going with this because I don't know exactly what your specialty is outside of adventure and retired military, but drilling it down. But it is, maybe you are the luxury cruise specialist to polar regions. Right. And that includes Silver Sea, Seabourn, Pinot, Quark, companies like that. These are, and some of these smaller companies in particular, like the Quarks of the world, they don't have these big sales forces. They're not well known. So it's up to you. They want you to spread the word for them. And so you can take advantage of that. But the short, back to the question was, is it good to travel out of your area? No, you're sitting on, literally sitting on the acres of diamonds or your own gold mine right where you are. You just need to do a better job of cultivating that. Okay. And asking the question, just like, when I was talking to Don, Don has that existing client base there. You just have to take it a next step further with the people that you have, and not just, put it at the bottom of your email or ask, because a lot of people, what happens is they get the referrals. Yeah. Or my business is primarily repeat and referrals. I hear that a lot. Well, you can quantify what repeat is. You usually can't quantify what referrals looks like, because there's no proactive system to it. And the best way to do that, and particularly when you're looking at doing higher end product and more specialized product, is pick up the phone and call
Okay.
because
Okay.
you do have that relationship, and they, you know what? What's the worst they can say?
No, I'm not interested.
No, I'm not
Not
interested.
today. Yeah.
No, and you're not, and it wouldn't even be no, I'm not interested. It's like, no, I don't think I know anybody who could help,
Okay.
who I could refer to you. That's the worst that's gonna go.
Hmm.
So just block some time every day. Do it.
Okay.
It's usually best to do it first thing in the morning, and leave a message if they don't answer, and then make sure you schedule some follow-up time as well.
All right. Hey, thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
Does that help? I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay. I think Melissa's already muted herself there. Okay, great. So let's move on down here. So Cheryl Bowie.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. How can I help you?
Okay, so I have a presence on Facebook, and I have to create a personal account just to get it started.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I don't do as much posting even on my business page as I should, but that's a different issue.
Yeah.
Right
I
now,
understand.
I just want to get an idea. Like, should I be using my personal account to promote my business? And if so, how can I do that without, really being pushy, or even should I do it?
So that's a great question. I think a lot of people struggle with that. I know I did for a long time. You know, here's what I did, and here's what I suggest you do, and that is to set up two different profiles. So if you were to go on Facebook and search Dan Chappelle, you're going to find a picture of me hiking with my dog,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to find a picture of my book cover.
Okay.
Now, which do you think would be personal, and which do you think would be business related?
Clearly, hiking with your dog is personal.
Exactly. So I would set up two, this is what I did, and I find it works very well, is you set up the two different profiles. And so my business, and maybe you use the one you already have because you already have a business page attached to it. And I'm not a Facebook expert, so we, getting into ads and that kind of stuff by no means, but I've been able to separate, because I'm one of my big things is setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been able to separate my business and my personal Facebook profile. So if someone, let's say you were to come to my personal account and send me a friend request, I'm going to switch over to my business account, send you one, and then delete it off of my personal one.
Mm.
And that way you're not offended, but you get that we're building up this side of it. And so, pretty much everybody, and there's some crossover because I've been in the business a long time, and a lot of, there's a number of people that I'm really good friends with, as well as that I have work relationships with. So there is some cross-pollination there, but I think for the most part, you can keep them, particularly first starting out, you'll be able to keep them pretty separate.
Okay.
And that way, let's say, something happens and somebody, hey, look, people hide behind their Facebook profiles. They'll write stuff they would never say to you in person. And that way, you keep it separate so that it's not polluting your personal account when, somebody has done something said something in your professional account. I encounter that too. Okay, so this is what you think. Let's pick up the phone and talk about it. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. So, because I know I don't appeal to everybody, and everybody might not agree with me, and that's okay. It's okay to disagree, but I want to keep those separate. So that would be my suggestion for you.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, that does help.
Fantastic. Okay. Mimi, we should all have Adrienne's problem. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay. Sharon Morgan, welcome to the party. You're up. Sharon? Let's see. I can't really go through. We got a lot of people on here, so I can't go through and find it. But let me just read what you put in here. I'm getting ready to launch my travel website in a week. I'm an advisor and a luxury travel specialist. How do I get new clientele? I've never sold luxury packages before. at regular and can't talk live. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay. She's working. She's at her job. P.S. I love your book. Okay. Well, great. Thank you, Sharon. So Sharon's listening in on here. So I'm assuming you're brand new to the business, not knowing where you're affiliated with or anything like that. Let me just go down a little bit more and see if she put something else in here. I do not see anything. Getting ready to never sold luxury package before. Okay, so I guess the question here is, how do you sell luxury? How do I get new clientele? Never sold luxury packages before. Well, here's the thing. Most people, when they market and advertise, they put whatever the lowest. Oh, I see you up there, Sharon. Gotcha. They typically will market the lowest available price of the cheapest product out there, thinking that most people are focused on price and focused on, $2.99, $3.99, $4.99, that kind of thing. And the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people out there who will spend, six figures and more on their vacation packages. How do you get that clientele? First thing is what do you want to be known for? Pick something within that luxury segment, whether it's adventure travel, whether it's ballooning across Africa, whatever it is, and then something that you want to be known for. But you also want to put it out there to people. So on your website, don't pick if you want to be known as a luxury specialist, don't put the low end cruise and tour packages out there on there. You put the high end stuff, and particularly it's stuff that something about and can really turn that into a specialty if it's not already there. And just make sure that everything that you have out there is positioned into the luxury segment. Obviously, that's the fastest growing and area in our business, and will be for probably the next 15, 20 years because of the baby boomers. And I'm one of them. Got time, got money, got travel. And that's why all your luxury brands are expanding at a record pace. But if you were to do that, and that will help position yourself. Then the emails that you send out to your list as you're growing your list and as you're doing your prospecting, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a specific, call it an avatar or client profile, a person that you want to do business with that will fit that type of product, and focus on getting that. Putting a website out, that's just the front door. That's the front window to your business. What you do to get the business is going to be more into your prospecting and your marketing and how you position yourself within the industry. Does that help? You can shake your head up and down if it does. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Sharon did great there. Okay, fantastic. I believe that is all I have so far. Anybody else have anything they want to just say? All you got to do is say hot seat or click it open and ask away. Angela Romans, here we go. Let's see. I'm a new advisor, brand new advisor within my first year. My agency does not advertise, plus we were known under a different name. Angela, are you on board? Can you tell us a little bit about what your question is?
Hi. Okay, so pretty much I joined an agency who does not advertise. They're based in Evansville, Indiana, and I'm in South Bend. I'm not allowed to do air-only tickets, so I can only put packages together. I'm hoping in the long run to become a Japanese destination specialist. But my thing is we were known as TCU Travel in the bank, and that is how our community knows us. We're trying to get our brand out there, but my agency doesn't advertise. Since I can't even book airline tickets, there's not much that I can do for clients that come in asking for help. So I'm wondering, is there anything that I can do to get my name out there, to maybe advance my career a bit? Because I feel stuck, but I don't know what I can do to better my situation.
So are you an employee?
Yes.
And do you work from home?
I'm in an office for now, but I do have the opportunity after so long to work from home.
Okay. And what are your job responsibilities?
Pretty much, I am located inside of a bank, and I help people plan travels with operators, like Talk, do cruises, Globus, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But
So
I'm
is
not
this
able
like a travel club in a bank?
Yes,
Okay.
but we work with the general public. We're not just
Okay.
exclusive to anybody.
Okay. And so I think your question was about airline tickets. Is that the first part of it?
Well, I'm not allowed to do air-only tickets. It's just part of how complicated my situation is.
Okay. So I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, you're an employee of a travel agency. You're in your first year. What do you want to do? What are your goals? I mean, I see you want to be a travel specialist, but you want to be a full-time travel agent somewhere where you can build a business out? Do you want to be an independent contractor where you have your own clients?
I would love that. My
Okay.
plan was to eventually become an independent, own my own business over time, but it seems like in my community that is very unlikely. I kind of feel like I'd have to go where the business is. So I'm trying to account for that.
So you're in South Bend, Indiana, right?
Yes.
And one of our presidential candidates is from there.
Yes.
And so that tells me that I believe the number I heard is you got at least 100,000 people living in the area, and it's a college town.
Yes.
So I think you got plenty of opportunity. Opportunity isn't the issue here. The issue is I think more of a personal one. When are you willing to make that leap into becoming an independent contractor and affiliating yourself with another host agency somewhere else to build the type of business that you want to build?
Absolutely. It just kind of seems like maybe joining an agency would be good to get the experience and support since I'm so new. I've taken the test and I've gotten my CTA, but that's as far as I've gotten so far.
So it sounds like that's what you're doing right now, is getting that experience.
Correct.
Okay. So keep doing what you're doing, or find another travel agency in the area that has a business model that's more conducive, or a clientele, or a product line that's more conducive to what you want to specialize in, and maybe change employers. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying, based on what I'm hearing from you, you feel like you're stuck and you've got nowhere to go. I'm looking at it and saying, I think you might have a pretty good opportunity where you are, but just to get some experience in, and then once you have that, then in that knowledge base, then take that next leap forward. It's up to you. I mean, up to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Does that help? I mean, I want to make sure
No, it really does. Do you know roughly, I know it's kind of hard to ask, but how long I should get experience before going out on my own?
It's actually would be a great question to ask. I'm just going to ask it to everybody. How much experience do you think she needs to have? Don't just type it into the chat box here real quick, and I'll just kind of give you an idea real quick what people think. It's not so much, in my opinion, it's not so much time-wise, it's how much you immerse yourself into it and educate yourself. So like, for instance, if you lived in Japan and you are very, you probably would know sections of Japan much better than anybody else. That's could be selling Japan. So all you need then is the sales part of it and the administrative part of setting up your own business to cater to that, or through somewhere else. That's how I see it. Let's see what's coming in. I think you should go for it. There are several host agencies that will educate their ICs. You have enough experience, just take a leap of faith. One person here saying 4 years, another's 3 to 5. Heather's like, I'm with Dan. How much you know? She jumped in with very little experience. Sharon's 2 years. Jenny, I agree with. I am near her, and I agree. Go for it. Not so much time as learning the different areas as he's mentioning now. I agree. It's not about much time. I've had my own agency with ICs who specialize, and it works well with us. Here's a good one. Shelley, I had no experience and went out on my own. I sold $1 million my first year. That's awesome. Lenny, hopefully I'm saying it right. I always get it wrong. I think it varies from person to person, what kind of background you have also, if you go with a host or on your own. So lots of great advice there, and I hope that helps.
That really does. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. And anytime you can ask the questions. Now let me roll back up here. And Lene, oh, you're up. And tell us all how to say it right.
It's Lena.
Lena. I wasn't even close and I even knew how to do it.
It's okay. Most people get it wrong. So I am currently hosted by Nexion. I started in this business as a cruise planners. I owned a franchise. I've been in the business for about, I guess, 9 years now. My question is, I'm changing my niche. I actually started a while back, and one of the things that I'm interested in doing is putting together joint ventures with local businesses. And I've put together like a package, but I just wanted to get some advice on how to best approach businesses and, kind of point out what the benefits to other businesses are.
So I think the first question I would ask is, what is the need? What do they need from the type of package that you're bringing in?
So for instance, I had a joint venture with a wine shop, and they approached me. We put together a wine tour to South Africa. And it was, what they were looking for was to build better relationship with our clients.
Right.
And, I think when you go on a trip with your clients, you socialize, you build relationship. But I'm having kind of a hard time approaching other companies, with the same process, same concept.
Okay. So, there's a lot of particularly service industries that, all they have is the service they have to offer, just like us. We don't own a product, we sell a service. So we want to do the things that are going to help inspire loyalty. So that's, obviously that's probably an approach that you've taken with that. I think it's a matter of identifying the type of businesses that would benefit from something like this. Obviously, wine shops, specialty. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I had a client who he collected antique toys made in Germany. So maybe it's approaching like in a toy shop that specializes in antique toys and putting together, some kind of trip like that can to Germany to view the toy factory or go to the markets or Antique Roadshow or something like, just find something to tie into what their business needs are. And it needs to be a business that's big enough to support it as well. Like a local wine shop typically has a number of clientele coming in and a lot of loyal ones. I'm just thinking.
I also want, the higher end client.
Right. So for instance, there's my brother-in-law just had his 45th birthday party at a distillery we live in the Seattle area in a little town called Roslyn, and y'all may remember Roslyn. It was the town they used for the TV series Northern Exposure. But there's a distillery that's been built there, and they have party rooms and they have this, and they do a lot of stuff to inspire loyalty and keep bringing. And they have the distillery clubs, and they sell casks of you pick your whiskey and it's displayed throughout.
Oh yeah.
Just like I've seen restaurants that have your mug. It's got your name on it. It's your mug. It's your mug that inspires loyalty. So maybe it's you approach businesses like that could definitely benefit and tie in the whiskey. Like for the whiskey distillery, maybe it's a trip to I don't know, to bourbon country in Kentucky. That kind of thing. Finding joint ventures is a tough thing, because there has to be a benefit, that it's got to be a win-win, because a lot of times people are expecting, gimme. You're going to see that a lot. I'm going to do it for radios. Promotions are very much a one-sided deal a lot of times. So it, based on what you're doing, what your specialty is, pick and choose who you think might be good candidates, and then kind of vet them out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, find out what their need may be, and then find the right person too. It's important to find the right person, because a small mom and pop is typically not going to have the staff to be able to support the business while they're gone, but they also probably don't have a big enough list or clientele to work with.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Does it help at all?
Yeah. It's just, I think it's, once you get it to work, it's very beneficial, because you, first of all, you tap into somebody else's client list, and those people have something in common. So it's easier to, build a group. And they may already know each other. So going, on a group river cruise or whatever, I think that's a plus,
Okay. So we're approaching an hour, but as I said earlier, I'm going to stay on as long as we need to. So we'll stay for at least another half hour or so. So don't worry about if you got time. I haven't gotten to your question yet. Okay, good. So I hope that helped. Let's jump to Esty. Esty Gube, are you here? Raise your hand.
Hello, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, everybody. So Dan, I've got a question for you today. I've been invited to go to do, it's a luxury home open house on the beach, 7 million, and they're having a bunch of vendors. I don't know how many, but a few very high-end luxury vendors there at the open house. So there's the jeweler invited me, and there's it's a cigar guy, a caviar guy, a car guy, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I haven't done a table before. I've set up a display in my own house and had my own travel talk, but I haven't done a table before. So I was wondering if you had any advice, in particular for me. I have stuff to set up the table. That's not really what I'm asking, but what it is that I should be promoting specifically. So, because there's so much there. I can promote me. I can promote my agency. I can promote my host agency, Virtuoso.
Yeah.
Virtuoso.
So number one rule to everyone here, there's only one thing you promote.
You.
Exactly.
Right.
You.
But Virtuoso is on all the material, so the other thing is I have a meeting this week with a jet company that does private jet tours.
Cool.
And so I was going to put out a lot of their brochures just to kind of give an idea of what my perfect clientele would be and put it out there.
Yep.
So all this stuff, like I said, has other people's names on it.
Yep.
What's the best way to promote me?
So I'm going to ask a question here in a second about what the specifics of this, but you need to make a flyer that's about you.
Mm-hmm.
You can put in smaller print how you represent these companies.
Right.
Or this is what you do, but do not, under any circumstance, in my opinion, sit there and hand out brochures for them.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is they're going to either contact them directly, they're going to contact, because that's the way typically you see supplier sponsored ads. It's usually great big them, little bitty you, right?
Yeah.
So make it all great. Oop, knock my thing out of here. Great big you and little bitty them. Because you're not just, unless they're paying for it.
No.
Then there's no, that if they're paying for it, that's a different story.
Gotcha.
Then the promotion's a little bit differently. But if you're trying to draw business to yourself.
Sure. But
now,
I'm not a known brand, like Virtuoso, for example, is a known brand.
Yeah. So you could put Virtuoso below, but you're not promoting Virtuoso.
Well, basically, like your thing you have behind you there, I don't know what you call that, but that. Something like that. I have one of those.
Yeah.
Something like that with my name of my travel company.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the bottom, maybe put affiliated with these,
I would just put because the suppliers would change. So folks, you can buy this from TNT Banners. And I think you just tntbanners.com. This was like $120 behind me here.
Yeah.
And you can get something like this. You supply the art and they'll have it shipped to you within a week. So I would put all about Esty and put the Virtuoso logo down below because people will recognize that from the ads and stuff. But then you can use it over and over and over. It doesn't matter who you're promoting from a supplier standpoint, you're promoting yourself there. So that's number one. So this luxury open house, is this a realtor putting this on, or is this a model home that's been built? I'm sorry. So it's an invitation only thing to bring people in to sell that particular house?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
House. I've seen it. It's.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not. I totally get what it is, but they're bringing in different support.
Many $7 million beachfront properties like this in San Diego.
Yep. So question, obviously anybody who attends has to fill out a card. You get that list?
That's a good question. I will ask.
You need to get the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's no matter what you do, it's all about the list.
Yep.
You know, a lot of you are on this call today because you got on my list. How did you get on my list? Well, I didn't go to your website. No, you know what? You attended a webinar that I did. And that's how you got on the list. And then you get put into the cycle of building the relationship through my newsletter and other things that have come on, and then invitations to things like this that can help you and benefit you. And that's the same thing that you'll do with your clients, is don't always go for the sale right there. Like if you're in an event like Esty's doing, your job there, or a bridal show or that kind of thing, you're not there to sell anything. You're there to build your list. You're there to get information. Then you follow up from there. It's like, you know, I've used this analogy before in a column I did recently. It was, okay, so when it comes to, you know, your spouse, did you walk into a bar and meet them at the bar and then go straight to the you know, to the Elvis Chapel in Las Vegas? Maybe, but most people have a courting process, and that's what you're getting that name, and now you're building that relationship and that courting process to a purchase. And it doesn't have to be a long one. It may only be a week, maybe 2 weeks, whatever, but it's still a process that you have going there. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. Good deal.
I appreciate it.
Okay, next up, Heather Travis.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, welcome.
Hello. So I have been a travel agent almost 5 years. I'm with outside agents and travel leaders. And right now I have 6 contractors, right? So one of my contractors sells $1 million of cruises a year. She's a rock star. I've got another one that's, you know, holding her own, about, you know, 300,000 last year. And then I have a couple that are floundering, and I'm trying to mentor them. I'm trying to show them, you know, how to succeed. Having, you know, weekly meetings. I give out leads, so they are getting leads from me. So they're like, neither of them have any sales for 2020 yet, and here it is wave season. So I'm like, so they are not required to pay us anything, and I think that may be an issue. But basically, we are paying for them to be travel agents, but they're not making any money for us. So I'm just trying to figure out how I need to, I don't know, mentor them, how I need to structure it for success. When do I let them go? What kind of advice do you have? I'm a little bit, I want them to succeed, and they want to succeed, but one of them, I had given her 2 leads over the weekend, and she said, oh, I was skiing over the weekend, and now she's going to go visit her grandpa because he's sick, and so she wanted me to give them to somebody else. So
yeah,
I'm
and
like,
that's fine. So what I'm hearing is it's not a priority.
Yeah.
And so here's I feel like a talk show host here. So here's my advice. You know, you're it's a big time suck for you. And it's not just a time suck, it's a money suck, because you're giving leads, and those potential leads is money. That's money. So
Yeah.
I would do, my suggestion would be, one is to institute a monthly fee. Because if they got skin in the game each month, they're more likely to follow through. Those who aren't willing to pay the fee, well, then they probably don't need to be there with you. Or you can, do it at thresholds. So you've got, two rock stars, or one rock star, one, up and coming rising star. So you could, there's nothing to say you can't waive their fees in their contract. You can do whatever you want to in the independent contractor agreement that you have with them, but including terminate. And I would, for me, I would probably look at it and say, because this is a business. This is not a game. This is not a hobby. This is your business. And as a business owner, you got to treat it that way. And I'm sure you do. But that also means, you have all the fun things that we do, but you also, as a business owner, there's some not so fun things we have to do. And those are, you gotta cut people loose if they're not producing for you. And, a lot of times they're waiting for it. They expect it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you're investing your time, you're investing your money, and you're giving them money, potential money, and nothing's working. So, I would call that down, and that way you can focus on recruiting independent contractors that do want to work for you and do want to, there may be some on this call who are looking for a new host agency. I think the statistic I heard on that is more than 50% of the workforce in the industry are independent contractors, and 50% of those are not happy where they are. So, it's whether there's any truth to that, I don't know. I don't know how real that is, but there's always potential. And so, filtering out, having a vetting process, bringing on new independent contracts would be crucial. Having some fees in place to make sure that they have some skin in the game. And that way, if they don't do anything or they forget about it, then, you're at least getting something out of it. For your time and effort.
Yeah.
Into it. Or you could and new people to the business, maybe you charge them $1,000 up front to teach them the business. I would take a more I don't want to say business-like approach to it, but more of I guess maybe that's what I am saying. Take an approach with it. It's not a hobby for you. This is your job. This is your career. This is what you own the business. So you have to do the things that are good for the business.
I'm hearing you. I think that's it. I know it in my heart.
I didn't say it was easy. Didn't say it was easy.
Yeah, I know. So and I think even though I came into the business not having sales experience, I think it would be easier to get ICs that have some kind of sales experience in the future, because hiring people that have no experience, oof.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to teach somebody who knows how to sell the business than it is to teach somebody how to sell that doesn't know that may know the business. And I've seen that a lot. And it's tough. I mean, like I said, it's not easy to make those calls, but the other part is your other two independent contractors will see that you're just dragging these people along, and it hurts morale. And, whether they're home-based or not, you get everybody on a call, you want to have that upbeat, positive, environment of people succeeding. And if you got people who aren't succeeding, it's time to bring in people who will.
I'm hearing you. Thanks for the advice. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I hope that helps. Okay,
yeah.
Let's go Mimi Archer. I think I said that right. You're up. You still hear Mimi? Let's see if she gets up. She's there. There you are. Yep. Okay. How can we help you today?
Well, basically, like I said in the little paragraph I put there, I'm from a small area, about 5 miles outside of a town that has a brick and mortar staffed travel agency. So it seems like I'm always in competition with them for people who live in the area. So I figured they have a leg up on me based on what their um, assets are, basically. So I've tried joining different groups. I was in a WBN group. I didn't see a whole lot of benefit in that. I've thought about joining a local chamber or something similar there too. And I'm trying to figure out where it is I need to go out and find new people that are not familiar with another travel agency that are going to listen to me.
Okay, we'll take your suggestion for time blocking. Okay, good. So that's a start. So you're in competition with, you're always going to be in competition with somebody, whether it's the local brick and mortar or what have you. So that's not. Your specialty is in luxury cruising international. You know, it's funny. I find that joining things like the Chamber of Commerce, everybody's trying to sell you something and you don't usually get a lot of business out of that. That's been my experience with it. So, you know, I don't know that that's a good investment. The Chamber people are in business of selling memberships. They're just like Costco and all the others. They're in the membership business, and the people there are trying to do the same thing you are, and that's sell you something. How big is your list now?
Well, it's about 200, but I'm beginning to think that most of the people on that list should be scratched off, and that's why I made the comment that I'll take your advice.
Yeah. No, I get it. I had a list that was over 10,000. By the time I was done, I got it down to about 2,500 at one point. And even with my list that I use for my business now, I had over 15,000 agents who had opted in one way or another. And, you know, they haven't been opening the emails. So I culled it back down to about 4,000. So you're going to do the same thing. A lot of the same thing is to bring it down to people who want to do business with you, who are opening your newsletter, who you're seeing there. And then, you know, take the advice and do the time blocking and call out and asking for the referrals. I think that is key. And people don't do that. And we were talking about, you know, with Heather, you know, it's better to hire people with sales experience than to try to develop them. Well, you've got to be a salesperson too. And part of selling is prospecting, and that's picking up the phone and calling people, and you're calling people who are already on your list, and you're building it up from there and developing, and then kind of reaching the tentacles out to grow that a little bit more. It's tough being in a rural area. You know, I've been there, done that myself too. Excuse me. But working the list you have, I think you'll find to be much more productive than doing some of the other things that you're doing. Also, as I mentioned earlier, positioning yourself as that luxury cruise expert on your website, in your emails that go out. You know, if you do any other sort of advertising, any sort of marketing on business cards, any events you go to, it's how you position yourself is going to help attract business to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's a definite. That last one is something I hadn't thought about, nor had I thought about it until it was brought up with another one of the people here about going through the list that I have and thinning it out.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. So hopefully that helps. Let's go down. Let's see who we got next here. Let's see. We got to go down because a lot of you jumped in and said how long she should wait. Who we got here? I'm going to mute. That's Ariel Cruz. She was a little loud there. Agree with Lenny. Bear with me. I'm just scrolling down here to see who's up next. Ray Alton, to me privately. Ray, can I read this? Because I think this is a very positive thing. Yeah, I guess I can, because this goes with.
You can.
Yep. It says, Dan, after reading your book, I followed your principles and focused on the baby boomer market and sold 1.5 million last year. What can I focus on to get to 3 million? Well, I think you answered the question yourself. Keep focusing on those baby boomers, and again, asking for the referrals from the customers that you have. you can easily double and triple your revenue just by doing that. I love that this worked for you, and that because if you practice, you start putting these things into practice, they will work. It's just something you can't just do it once though. You got to keep going and keep doing it, and that'll work. Does that help, Ray?
I know you talked about, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I know you spoke about like Polar is really hot right now, but I mean, and I wrote that down, and I'll start working on that because I do have a client that's interested in Polar, and I know if I book her, I could probably book her friends. But I get a lot of leads that just come. We're part of Travel Leaders from our agent profiler,
Right.
and so it's kind of a process of just building that information out and just say, okay, you know what? You study the information and then you know it. So when the client calls you, you're able to explain everything just for it. So I know you said Polar is one. Is there another thing that people are really interested? I know a lot of my bookings last year came from Douro River Cruises in Portugal.
Right. River cruising in general is, I mean, it's the bus tours of the 1960s and 70s. I mean, and very rarely are they less than 10 grand a pop. So there's a lot of opportunity in there. People have gone in, think back when you took your first Caribbean cruise, right? 7 days, Eastern Caribbean. What is that? That's the Danube. Okay. Then you've got the Douro, you've got the Rhine. And so now you've got different areas that people can explore within river cruising. I think that is an area to continue to focus on. Another area and I see you're from the Houston area. And I don't know how much business you get locally, but a lot of safari business comes out of the Houston market, a lot of safari business. So that would be another area as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Polar and Safari.
Polar, Safari, and keep doing river cruising, man. Everybody on this call should ride that train as long as it's running, because it's it's grown so much that people are asking for it, and it's not a hard sell like it did say 10 years ago. It's something people really want to do. And it's a more affordable bucket list item for a lot of folks as well. So just position yourself as an expert in those areas as well. I got a quick question for you before we mute you back down, because I don't want to say a lot of people, but different organizations have lead programs. What would you say the quality of the leads are that come through your Travel Leaders profile?
The qualities have been pretty good so far with our agent profiler, which is an online, kind of like a micro website where people can see what you're interested in. Things like postcards, those haven't worked in years, but all our leads are coming in just from this agent profiler, the online site that they have for us. And I would say they're quality leads, and that's the thing that really matters. And I maybe can close 3 or 4 a week.
Awesome. And they're yours to keep, too, right? They're your leads.
Yeah, they're mine to keep, yeah.
Awesome. Then keep doing what you're doing. I think you're doing great. Doing great.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well,
Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Yep. Who we got next? Karen Morrow. Karen Morrow, she's currently at her day job, not able to go live, so I'm going to read this out for you. Luxury consultant for 6 years, currently with Oasis and Signature, using Facebook ads to garner email leads directly from interested people. It was working well, but it gets expensive. Yep. I temporarily suspended my ads because the day job became busy. And of course, when you do that, the email feed dries up. Can you suggest another way to get the email leads I need to build the list without purchasing rent? Well, I think I've talked about it already, and that's going out to your existing client base and asking for referrals, proactively asking for referrals. That's the way. So picture a funnel, okay? And you've got paid leads that are coming in that are what I call cold leads, which would be Facebook ads, advertising in a newspaper, stuff like that. And then you've got your referral leads coming in, which are people that you've targeted based on the profile of who you want to do business with, that you have reached out, spoken to, and brought them into the funnel. When it thing shifts out at the bottom, the referral lead is going to be much stronger. It's going to be much loyaler, and it's going to spend probably a lot more money the initial lead, the cold lead that comes in, you've got to build that relationship. So it's not going to probably flow through as fast, or if it does, it's usually more price driven than it is overall. So my suggestion would be work the ones that you have when you have time, block that time, block a half hour in the morning or whatever, and make those calls or in the evening after you get home. Cause yeah, I get it. Daytime jobs get pretty busy. My wife's in the cruise business. She works for a cruise line, and the whole thing with the coronavirus has put everybody at all the cruise lines around the world, just put them on 24/7. So day jobs are really getting, to be 20-hour jobs, full-time jobs. So I totally get that. So work it when you can, but here's the thing about leads. They don't just fall in your lap most cases. You're going to have to do it regularly, whether it's calling out to 10 people a day or 5 people a day or whatever, or placing those Facebook ads and keeping them running on whatever schedule you have. That's the only way that you're going to keep getting them in. Purchasing random lists, I wouldn't even bother with that. I think that's probably the biggest waste of money overall. Occasionally you'll get something that comes out of it, but you're better off, focusing on the folks that you've already worked with in the past and building it off of that. Let's see. Cheryl, bye. See you later. Paula, great info on the TL profile for Ray. Half of hers are dreamers. Karen Morrow, thanks, Dan. Lene, I didn't even do it right that time either, did I? You got another question? Shoot.
I do. So I'd like to start to do like maybe once a month presentations at restaurants, or I know I can rent or book a room at Total Wine, for instance.
Sure, yeah.
And I want to know what the best way to promote those are.
So obviously that's a local market thing. So one of the ways you can do it, so back to your original question, how can you build joint venture stuff? Do personal invitations to the people you want to do business with and bring them in. Do a presentation exclusively for them. Okay, that's one way. And so that's one target market. The other one would be, say, your consumers. Okay, so typically with a consumer event at a Total Wine, you're going to want to bring in a supplier for obvious reasons. They split the costs with you typically. You can promote a group out of that, or some specific dates they want to sell. You can usually get some sort of extra promotional material, stuff like that. And then how do you promote it? Well, you've got your local list, so you work that. You can purchase advertising. Advertising does work, but you have to be specific about what you're doing, and it usually works best when you are promoting an event for someone to attend.
So are you talking newspaper ads then, or?
It could be newspapers. It could be postcards to your list. And again, remember, 50% or more of the expense is going to be picked up by a supplier in most cases. So think of it like that. So depending on, where you are and how big, like the one thing that we did both when I ran the first started Expedia Cruise Ship Center's local store when we first came into the U.S. marketplace, when I was with them, was we focused on the community newspaper, not on the Seattle Times per se, but we were in Bellevue, Washington, which is a fairly affluent area and big enough to support it. So we advertised within that local paper. Was the primary way that we did that. And one of the ways we also did was put an insert into the local paper, as opposed, it was actually less expensive to put an insert in than it was to actually buy the advertising in it. So, so we actually did both, but there's various ways to do it. So I would pick the supplier you want to work with. I think Total Wines is a great venue. People love going there. It's easy. You got plenty of parking and all that kind of stuff. And you can actually draw people in from the store. But but at the same time, talk to the supplier that you're going to do this with, and ask them what's working in the areas, because within their territory, what's working to draw people in outside of what we talked about, because they may have other ideas as well. Because what may work in Seattle, Washington, may be very different from where you are in Virginia. When I was in Texas, when I had my agency in Texas, was very different than what worked in New York.
Gotcha.
Just a different approach to it. So doing the basic stuff, but then go in and ask the local supplier, because they're well. I don't think that we utilize them enough in the information that they have. Remember, they're dealing with all sorts of very successful agencies out there. So ask them for best practices.
Mm-hmm.
For your area.
I was thinking about that, but then I kind of thought about what you said earlier to, I can't remember, one of the ladies that you gave advice to, that, then, I'm just handing it over to the, my BDM, and they,
Well, so no, it's a difference here. So if in her case, she didn't have a sponsorship, she didn't have co-op money coming in. So she's under absolutely no obligation to feature any supplier. She's there to promote herself. If you're promoting something with a supplier, okay, you want them to sign up on, you get all the sign up stuff. You don't want them to get it, because then they'll load it up and they'll start marketing directly to. I've seen that happen before in the past too. But you want them to sponsor it. If it's a group, you're bringing in them to give the presentation and pay half the bill. Yeah, they deserve, and rightfully so, they deserve a chunk of the advertising space. But I wouldn't do it disproportionately, because that's how most of them want it. They want 75% of the advertising space for paying for 50% of the costs. That's how it typically works, because they'll supply the ad for you. They'll supply this, they'll supply that, which is great because you don't have to do it, but it's all about them. So you want it to be all about you, but you're promoting them at the same time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that way you can use, because a lot of times, let's say it's AMA. AMA's a draw. People know AMA or Viking or Scenic or whatever. And so they'll be attracted to that particular supplier. You could also ask, and I don't know if any of them will do this, but you can say, hey, you know what? Since we're doing this promotion together, who do you have in the area that you'd be willing to share their contact information with, or their email addresses, so that we can invite them to this event?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
What's
I hadn't thought about that.
What's the worst they can say?
Yep, you're right.
Exactly. So I think that's a great idea, what you're looking at doing there. I think it's fantastic. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So welcome. Okay, let's see what else we got here. A lot of folks are having to take off. Este's posted, if you look in the chat there, Este's posted it's tntbanners.co. And I've got another one I've got to order from them, because I'm going to be participating in the travel market report shows in Vancouver and in Toronto coming up this spring. So that's something that, we always want to promote ourselves, right? We want to promote ourselves. Any last, Este was right. It's .com. Okay. It's .com. It's tntbanners.com. Also Vistaprint, I guess. There's other ways you can do this. Any last questions? And because I don't have any in the queue here, anybody have some last questions, and we'll wrap this up? Nope. Well, fantastic. So real quick, type into the box. Tell me what your thoughts were. How was this a good use of your time? Did you get anything good out of it? Would you like to see this more? Because this is a feature that I'm going to start doing at least once a month within the Power Players Club, which is our members only group that we have, membership group that we have at the Wealthy Travel Agent Academy. Is this something like this very beneficial that you would see as a benefit to the program? Love this. Lots of great ideas. Fantastic. Felt like something I'd definitely do again. Perfect. Yes, I did. Don't have a great mentor. That's fantastic. Come into the program. There's lots of folks. Esty, I highly suggest the Power Players Club. I've learned a great deal. Thank you, Esty. I appreciate the endorsement there. Love this. Be more happy to promote it to my 7,000 members. Fantastic. Whoa, 7,000. Hey. I remember when you first started that group. Then I got kicked out because I'm considered a supplier. But that's okay. That's great. What's great is our group is specifically for travel professionals without outside stuff. So that's and I agree. That's a fantastic thing. Lisa, it's great. Been very helpful. I'm new. Yes, it's very helpful. Wasn't sure exactly what I should be asking. So hey, you know what? As I put in the initial thing, there are no bad questions. Just it's open mic. Ask what you want, and if I've got the answer, I'm happy to share. If not, I'll refer you somewhere like the banner. So I'm happy to refer. All right, guys, thanks so much. We're going to wrap this up, and thank you for coming. I appreciate the feedback from everyone, and I look forward to seeing you soon.